what's up? My name's Eli, I'm 25, I'm a full-time entrepreneur, and I'm getting ready to raise $1 million for my software company. And question that you probably have in the back of your brain is, who is this guy and how did he get here? So what I wanna do is I wanna rewind 6 years, and I want to tell you about how I went from cleaning bathrooms at a gas station to being a full-time entrepreneur and running my own company. And I want you to get two things out of this video. Through this journey, I'm going to tell you about all of the companies that I started and the ventures that I took and a lesson that I learned from each of them. And I also want to inspire you. I don't know if you are an entrepreneur, I don't know if you are somebody who's driven or ambitious, but I want to inspire you to follow the dream, to take the risk, to take that idea off the shelf that you had for a really long time and to run with it, because I think risks are worth taking. And oftentimes we focus so much on what if it did not happen, and we never ask ourselves, but what if it did? So let's start with the story. So I want to rewind about 6 years ago. It's 2019. I'm in college and I decided that I want to start my first company. I know that I don't want to be in the corporate world for the rest of my life. And so I'm getting a community college degree. I'm spending 2 years. So the first company that I wanted to start was going to be a boutique shoe truck. So my idea with this company was we were going to create a truck, deck it out on the inside, renovate it, and we were going to go to local pop-ups, flea markets, events, big cities, hotspots where lots of people were. We were going to sell people shoes. And so what I did to get this initially off the ground is I bought a couple $1,000s worth of sneakers, and my goal was to get some initial profit or revenue for the company so that I could figure out how I was going to, create the structure and the model of selling these sneakers, and just to dip my toes into the game. I was a sneakerhead, I loved fashion, so I thought it was going to be a great idea. What I realized very quickly was that selling sneakers to drug dealers for $40 profit across town was probably not the best business model. I swear this happened every single time. I would pull up to a car that looked like it was literally just got done doing a deal. I'd pick up a pair of sneakers, or I would drop off a pair of sneakers, but I would pick up a pair of sneakers that would literally smell completely like weed. I'm like, I don't even know how I can resell these. Or I would show up and they would be $20 short, but I didn't want to lose out on the deal. And so the biggest lesson I learned in this business was that understanding how does distribution work at scale in my current business model, and is it replicable, right? Like, am I able to replicate what I'm doing at scale? The answer was no, right? Driving across town 30 minutes just to get shorted $10 and cut my profit, by 25% was an awful business model. I got scammed out of like $1,000 worth of shoes because I bought a bunch of fake shoes. That was a terrible day. So it wasn't the greatest business model, but I had a lot of fun. I got a lot of shoes, so I loved that part of it. But it was my first company. Fast forward to about 6 months later, me and my buddy, we started doing calisthenics in his mom's basement. We were literally just college students trying to get jacked during COVID, right? Because this is like 2020, gyms are closed, all this weird stuff's going on. So we start watching these programs, going on YouTube, listening to these videos and these people like Chris Heria, and all these other people doing crazy stuff. And we were like, man, this is gonna be awesome. And so we decided a couple months in, after developing this passion, this love for calisthenics and fitness, we decided to start a fitness page. That fitness page was ran by me primarily. My partner got dropped off pretty early into the journey. That fitness page was ran by me for 2 years with basically zero traction. So I think I ended up having about 2,500 followers. I was posting calisthenics videos, tutorials, YouTube videos. I was doing the whole nine, right? I was spending lots of time, lots of money, lots of effort and energy into trying to build this platform. I literally sat down and I asked God one day, I said, hey God, if this is something that you want me to continue with, can you please show me a sign? That's what I said. I said, can you please show me a sign that this is something that you want me to move forward with? And I kid you not, a couple of videos that I had posted a few weeks ago started to gain some traction. Like, these weren't fresh videos. These were like a couple weeks old. They started to gain some traction. And I was like, hey, this is really weird. Like, I don't know where this came from. And then like another one that I posted a couple weeks ago started to gain some traction, like 50,000 views, 70,000 views. Next thing you know, over the next year and a half, I accumulated almost 60,000 followers on my Instagram. I accumulated over 40,000 followers on my TikTok. I was sponsored by multiple companies. I was doing brand deals. I was getting free stuff sent to my door left and right. I was getting paid to post videos doing workouts. It was absolutely incredible. And so I decided to start an online coaching business. And what I did is I worked with people privately, one-on-one, and delivered, custom workout plans as well as meal plans. And this is where I learned the value of investing in knowledge. So one of the ways that I invested in knowledge is I paid over $1,000 to get access to an agency and a group of people that helped online fitness coaches start and scale their company. And so I spent this $1,000, very scared that I was going to lose out on this $1,000 that was probably all I had, honestly. That was probably my $1,000 profit that I made from the sneaker company, because I think I spent $2,000 and I made $3,000 in the month that I did it. So this was probably literally my $1,000 profit that I made from my sneaker company. I invested that into my online coaching company, and that made its money back tenfold. I made so much money doing my online coaching business in the few months that I did it with the few clients that I did work with, because what I was really good at is getting a client in, being very relational, understanding their needs, and then retaining them as a long-term client. And so I made probably well over $10,000 with my online coaching business, which for me at the time seemed like an incredible amount of money. And I was able to reinvest that money back into my business, as well as building up my social media platforms. Fast forward a year after I started my coaching business, I decided that I wanted to do something that was more scalable. I went back to, hey, if I have to be involved in every single transaction, it's not going to be something that can very easily scale. And so we went to the drawing board, me and a couple of my buddies did, and I decided that I should start a clothing company. All of my buddy influencers were doing it. Everybody wanted to start a clothing company. It was the cool thing to do at the time. And so what I did is I brainstormed kind of what I wanted the company to be about, how I wanted to deliver the messaging, what I wanted our product to look and feel like. We landed on the name Uncertified. It's the logo behind us. I have the neon logo still hanging. So Uncertified meant to not find validation in the world, but the one who created it. And this is where I really began to dip my toes into entrepreneurship, because a couple of cool things happened. Number one, when we launched our company, it took about 9 months for us to get design, marketing, website, product iterations, and final versions fulfilled and arrived to us for us to launch. When we did launch, we sold out our first collection in 2 months. Over the 18 to 24 months that we existed, we did over 50,000 in product sales. We did almost 800 units. We had an almost 2% PLG conversion rate, and we worked with some really cool people. So DeJean owns our clothes from the Eagles. Tame and Lipsy did an entire campaign and collab with us, as well as Maya McDermott. Those are both local Iowa D1 basketball players. Jonathan Pokluda is a famous pastor out in Waco. A lot of people don't know this. Jonathan Pokluda and Harris Creek Church actually purchased a sweatsuit from my company for every single person on their staff. It was like a $5,000 order. It was the coolest thing ever, and it was a way to support my mission-driven, purpose-driven brand, as well as do a cool thing for their staff and bless them with a gift. So that was a really cool thing that happened. But you might be asking, well, why aren't you running a clothing company anymore? Like, what happened to that? It's a question that I've been getting in the last 6 months very frequently. Like, what happened to your clothing company? What happened to your clothing company? Well, guys, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. The last 5 years, all while I was doing these side hustles and building these side companies, building my social media platforms to over 100,000 followers, I was actually building a career in finance in the 9-to-5 world. And for the last 2.5 years, I actually became very good at what I did. Last year, for one of our vendor sales categories, I was 3rd in the country out of 6,000 agents. I funded over 50 million in consumer loans over the last 3 years, me working at a financial institution. And so I came into this interesting crossroads where my 9-to-5 was making me hundreds of thousands of dollars doing sales. But I loved my clothing company. I loved all of these side ventures. And so I decided to do something crazy. I decided to create a product and a solution in my 9-to-5 world that I knew I could take out and be that it could be an entrepreneurial venture for me to do full time. And so this is exactly what I did. So 10 months ago, I began brainstorming and iterating on a software concept that I was going to sell to banks and credit unions. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but essentially I created a solution for banks and for credit unions that makes them more money, right? Like, that is what our software platform does. It makes them more money. And when I thought about this idea initially, I really wanted to think about what I did well at my job and how I could use the things that I had learned to create a product to help other credit unions and other banks accomplish those same results that I was seeing in my role, right? Because I was really good at what I did and I wanted to transfer that knowledge. So I spent about 3 months in the product building, conceptualizing and research phase. And actually, so let me extract product building out of that. This was really the product research because I wanted to know what other companies existed in this landscape, what other companies were selling to banks and credit unions that did something similar to what I did. I wanted to know all of the things about them so I could be readily equipped to diffuse objections when I'm in these meeting rooms and they're talking about competitors or they bring up this person or have you heard of them? What do you do that they don't? I wanted to be very well equipped, have those answers, to understand my competitors and how we could be better, how we could be different. So we spent about 3 months there. I raised about $100,000 to get this company off of the ground. Once I raised my $100,000 with an angel investor, I found a developer who was going to essentially build out our product for us. So this developer was somebody who was in the industry doing software engineering and development for over a decade. He'd worked in the financial services world, and so he was the perfect fit for what I was looking for. But the craziest connection of all is the guy that I hired to build my product was actually one of my previous online coaching clients. And in fact, let me just say my best online coaching client. And so two worlds collide. I had an online coaching client that I found out was a software developer, an engineer. He ends up joining my team. I actually hired him full-time. So he now works for me full-time. But he spent 6 or 7 months developing and building out this product so that we could go to market with some sort of concept to get feedback. So January of 2026, January of this year, we built the product. It was live, we launched it. And so we went to the market to kind of understand what people were thinking of it, how they liked it, what were things they liked, what were things they didn't like, to get all of that feedback and that iteration. So we spent the next 4 months building around those pain points, around those pieces of feedback that we got from the CEOs and the operators that we were meeting with in this space. And now, as we go to market, April 17th of this year is the day that I clocked out for the very last time. And so I'm gonna tell you this. Number one, it was the scariest thing of my life, and it was the most exciting, thrilling, exhilarating thing of my life in the same breath. I knew that if I wanted to take my company and really scale it and go do the sales and the distribution side of it, I needed to be boots on the ground running it full time. And so that's what I did. I quit my company. We had fundraising. We ended up raising about $150,000 total in our, what I would call like our friends and family round of fundraising. And now as we have gotten early stage traction, we are looking at potentially raising a pre-seed round, $1 million, and we're going to be valued right at about $6.5 million is what my software company is going to be valued at. And I'm telling you, it is literally so much fun. It's so scary being a real world builder and a real world operator. There are so many things that you learn that people don't tell you about. And I wanted to hit on a couple of things because I know that I kind of skipped over the life lesson from Uncertified, talked about my coaching business, I talked about my sneaker company, but what was the lesson that I learned from Uncertified? Here's what I learned from Uncertified. Brand and consistency wins. And this is really from my personal Instagram and my posting right on the platforms. You know, the two lessons that really go hand in hand is consistency wins. Guys, I posted for over 2 years with 0 results. Like I literally was getting 1,000 views, 2,000 views on every single video. But you know what I did? I kept posting. And not only that, I made sure that as I kept posting, I got better. Every video was iterated on. When I found something that worked, I tried to do it again, right? And that consistency led to the success that you see today. And so for social media, that was it for me. From my clothing company, one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that brand wins. You see, it took us 9 months to launch a clothing company. Now, most people today that launch clothing companies think of an idea, they put a logo on a t-shirt, they go to their local print shop, they print it, and then they try and sell it on a website that they created on Wix 10 days later. Here's the thing. You may get a couple of people in your family or a couple of your friends to buy that t-shirt, but people are not going to come back, right, for a poor quality t-shirt. People are going to return to you, not because you're their family, not because you're their friend. People come back for quality. People come back for brand. People come back because something they wear makes them feel a certain way or is associated with a certain person or a certain lifestyle. And I'm telling you, one of the things we did really well is focusing on the brand. What is the mission and the purpose of our company that we are conveying? When you wear Uncertified, you are proclaiming that I do not associate with the idolatry and the conformity of this world or the sin of this world. I am standing firm with Jesus and being radically different because that is what Christ called us to. That was the mission of Uncertified. And that's why we sold out our first drop. We did over 10,000 in sales in our first 2 months with 0 marketing spend. Guys, that is insane. No ads, no SEO, literally pure brand and positioning. And so if there was one thing I learned from there, it's the power of brand. From my social medias, it's the power of consistency. And as I venture into this new arena of software and tech, it is extremely daunting, but I'm learning one thing that I want you to take away, because if you're building something in the software space or you're building an app, it is now easier than ever to build something. AI has literally lowered the barrier to entry for so many people, especially people who are non-technical. But before you start a company, I want you to realize that nowadays in 2026, it is so much less about the product and it is so much more about the positioning and the distribution. Product means nothing if it has no positioning or distribution channels. It's just an idea that's going to live on a screen or in your head. If you cannot get the product in front of people and help them see why they need it, then your company's going to fail, right? Like, those are the two leverage points that you need to have in order to take your product from where it is to where you want it to be, right? In customers' hands while they are paying you for it. That is one thing I'm learning right now. I am in the thick of it, and I'm excited to continue sharing my journey with you as I pursue full-time entrepreneurship, as I raise this $1 million from venture capital firms. And I want to once again share the lessons, share the wins, the losses, the failures, the reality and the authenticity of the journey, because most people show the highlight reels, but I want to show you what it's actually like to build as a real operator who hasn't made it yet, right? Like, I'm not there, but I'm building, and I hope you'll build alongside of me. I'll see you in the next video. So this is the part of being an entrepreneur and building stuff. When you haven't made it yet, that's not always sexy. It's currently 8:57 p.m. Worked all day. I came home and I spent probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes with my wife and my kids. They left. I had a meeting with a buddy, and I've been working until now. So started work at 7. So, we're on like a 14-hour day right now. And this is just a part of it, man. Like, it's not always sexy, but the work has to be done. Nobody's coming to save you. And I don't want to be cliche or try and sound like I'm being motivational, but it's just true. And I actually think that my family just got home. They were at my parents' house. So yeah, we're building. I have a lot of big updates to give you guys because there's been some crazy stuff happening. I got to get on a call with my engineer. We have a couple of things that are broke right now that are not working. I have a meeting tomorrow with somebody from one of the biggest financial institutions in the entire country, and we could potentially close an enterprise deal that would be worth, lifetime value of the customer could be anywhere from $2.5 million to $5 million. And that is like real US dollars. That's not a joke. Potentially. So there's some big things at work right now. Next week I'm in Arkansas. I'm actually at a church camp. So I'm leading a church camp. You guys know faith is super important to me. I want to prioritize that, pour into the next generation. So I have church camp next week, but I'm still going to be working, right? The company doesn't stop just because I'm out of town. So I still have stuff to do. I have demo calls that I got to get on. But these next few weeks are massive. Like I said, not only are we looking at potentially raising $1 million from venture capital firms in the next few months, but when you go to raise money and you're looking at getting funding from venture capital firms or from angels or investors, traction is the number one important piece. And so what we're doing right now is we are like just, wheels on the ground, balls to the wall, trying to get as much traction as possibly can so that curve that they're looking at right on that graph is, as vertical as possible. So that's what we got right now, and look who it is. Whoa. Come here. I love you, bud.
Hey, I love you, Dad.
Hi, sweetheart.
Yeah.
I love you, sweetheart. All right, we're clocking out.